Veterans Day is a day for Americans to remember those who have fought for honor, country, and freedom for all. Railroads had a critical role in different wars. In America, during the Civil War from 1861 to 1865, more track was used by the Union Army, leading to their triumph over the Confederate Army. In World War II, railroads got a reprieve from the Great Depression of the 1930s and received new profits by transporting troops, armory, weapons, and supplies to the battlefields of Europe and the Pacific. At that time, the steam locomotive era was reaching its zenith, and more significant and powerful locomotives were being built. During the war, steam locomotives on all American railroads were kept busy due to the war effort. After the war, the steam era began to ebb away on many railroads in America in favor of diesel locomotives. It's in the territory of the old Southern Railway that our Revival Steam episode for this week will take place. So imagine yourself in Memphis, Tennessee and Atlanta, Georgia to relive the sights and sounds of a lost era in revenue service again during the Veterans Day weekend. It is with a deep sense of honor and respect that this episode will feature tributes to the steam locomotives that helped America during the turbulent times of war. As part of the Revival Steam podcast, we will hear those locomotives in this next episode. I am Alec Butler, the narrator, sound editor, and host for this fictional railroad-related podcast series. It's not just about the past, it's about the future. I invite you, the listener, to actively imagine what a world of 21st century trains, pulled by new and improved steam locomotives, will look and sound like. Your imagination is crucial to this journey. As we eagerly anticipate the upcoming Veterans Day weekend, a few weeks have passed since the Halloween Art-S event. By this time, the leaves are gone and it is colder. But we will still capture the Southern Railway veterans you will hear in this episode. We are eagerly preparing to travel south to visit two cities for the 3-day weekend of Veterans Day. The schedule presents one morning in Memphis, Tennessee, and 1.5 days in Atlanta, Georgia. As you will hear, the new and improved fleet of Southern steamers is continuing to grow. There will even be steamers pulling Amtrak trains with full PTC compliance. It's an honorable show of steam veterans that you won't want to miss, so relax in your chair, grab a bag of popcorn, and close your eyes. Let's travel into the future to hear Southern veterans who helped keep the country moving. It's a tribute to the railroaders past and present who have fought for our country. Listen and remember. After spending Friday night in our Memphis hotel from a full day of traveling from the north, we are now set up at the Norfolk Southern Tennessee Yard. For this day, we will capture 4 trains. The first 2 are freights. The first one, NS Manifest 16A, travels from Memphis to Sheffield, Alabama, and handling the train today is a doubleheader of Southern Steam. They are Tribute 282 number 6287, and next in class 2882 number 4070. The Mallet has box-pot drivers, allowing the engine to travel faster. The train is leaving the yard for its eastward trip to Sheffield, and it's a cold but exciting start to this Veterans Day adventure. At 11 a.m., after traveling for an hour and a half from Memphis, we find the second freight train passing the restored station at Corinth, Mississippi. NS Manifest 16Z originally came from the Union Pacific as MNLSF. This train will now travel over NS and is also heading for Sheffield. The power for this train is another next-in-class 2882, number 4071. The engine also has box-pot drivers and handles the train nicely through Corinth on this cloudy but calm November day. Also at Corinth, we will capture the westbound and eastbound passenger trains that travel between Memphis and Chattanooga. They will arrive around noon. Tribute 482s pull them. The first one is an old friend from the second Southern episode. TS 482 number 1463 is pulling the westbound train to Memphis. We catch it arriving at the station for passengers. Just as that is happening, another train appears 2 minutes later. The second passenger train, the eastbound to Chattanooga, is also arriving at the Corinth station. This time it is pulled by Tribute TS 482 number 6695. This engine represents the pair of 482s that were built for the Alabama Great Southern by Baldwin in 1917. We are unable to capture the departure of these trains as we are on a tight schedule to get to Atlanta. These are the last trains we will see and hear on this day one of this Veterans Day weekend, as we continue our long drive to Atlanta. We are in Atlanta at 5 p.m., nearly 5 hours later, but we'll get an unexpected show at the NS Inman Yard. We are witnessing a switching job that is almost completing its work for the day. Steam is the order for this job, and the crew has been on duty since 3:30 p.m. Handling this job, NSGZ02, or the Industry Switcher, is Tribute AS11 080 number 1868. It represents 20 of the USRA-designed 080s that were built during World War I. The engine is chugging hard as it shoves some cars back to the yard, where it will complete its work and tie down for the night. We will do the same after capturing some good action this Saturday. The next day is Sunday, and we will capture 2 trains in and near Atlanta. Early in the morning at 7 a.m., the first train we will capture departs Inman Yard and heads approximately northwest to Chattanooga. This NS Freight 370 is handled by yet another next-in-class LS2 2882, number 4072. The engine will travel slowly out of the yard, and when the last car clears the yard block, the train begins to pick up speed steadily, as you will hear. The mighty exhaust of the mallet sounds like it is climbing a hill, but it's relatively flat terrain, and the train is heavy. It makes this soundtrack spectacular to listen to. Now we travel to the north for about 28 miles to Duluth, Georgia, where we will hear a passenger train run through. The 2 Amtrak Crescent trains, number 19 and 20, run between New York City and New Orleans, Louisiana. This is later in the morning at around 7:45 a.m. as the sun's rays finally are shown. The train is number 19, and powering the train is Southern Railway next-in-class TS 482, number 1473, which coupled to the train in Charlotte, North Carolina the previous night. The train makes a spectacular run past at a grade crossing. After this, we will visit the nearby Georgia Railroad Museum before returning to Atlanta to visit the aquarium for the rest of the day. The second Crescent Amtrak train number 20 usually arrives in Atlanta at around 11 p.m. The steam engine takes over the train and runs to Charlotte, North Carolina throughout the night. According to the Amtrak timetable, this train will depart Atlanta at around 11:29 p.m. Another tribute engine, TS-1482 Mountain number 1486, handles the train through the cold November night. Listen to the train as it speeds towards the Carolinas. It is now Monday morning, Veterans Day, and the next series of sounds are taken at the Inman Yard. We will witness 3 different Southern steamers in one combined soundtrack. After having breakfast early, we are preparing to head back to Michigan, but we will decide to capture yard action as our last activity for this Veterans Day weekend. First in this sequence is Tribute MS4 282 number 6621, working the GA05 Inman Yard job. The time is around 8:45 a.m., and the crew has been on duty since 7 a.m. As the 6621 continues to switch, a passenger train comes in. The RS-related early morning local from Chattanooga is handled by Southern Tribute 462 number 1348. This Pacific represents the group of 16 PS2s built by several builders in 1914. Then we will hear more switching action as 6621 continues her chores on GA05. Then comes a soundtrack of NS Local Freight P51 with Tribute MS1 282 number 6316. The train is on a return trip to Doraville, Georgia. This piece of action with 6316 unfortunately has a flaw. As the train continues its departure, our equipment runs low on energy, so we cut out to charge our cameras. We inadvertently forgot to charge the cameras from the previous night, as we were tired after capturing the Crescent. To add to our frustration, we also left our extra batteries at the hotel. Despite this, enjoy this piece of action of 3 steam engines all in the same place simultaneously. Our cameras will be charged sometime around noon, and 2 more soundtracks will be featured in this episode. The primary train we will capture is the same local passenger train returning to Chattanooga, with Tribute Pacific 1348 again. As the passenger local departs, we see another steam locomotive switching in the yard, and we will spend our last minutes we will have to capture this activity. NSGA 45 is another Inman yard job as it works with Tribute 282 MS1 number 6302. After a few minutes with this engine, it is time to give our final salute to this event as we begin the 2-day journey home to Michigan. I am sure the next time we go on future steam chasing trips, we will bring an extra charger. This episode presented a fascinating piece of history being reborn as a grand salute to Southern steam. These locomotives were like all steam locomotives that supported America during its ups and downs since the beginning. Let's hope it will support the American spirit during conflict and help the people stand proud of our heritage and future. To end it all, I credit YouTubers Ian Sylvester and Jack Milne for allowing me to use some of the sounds you have heard to make this episode possible. I would also like to credit my Aunt Elizabeth Tremblay for her hard work in editing my scripts for this podcast. I look forward to our next Southern adventure, which will take place during Thanksgiving, so stay tuned for that. Nothing else needs to be said. This is Alec Butler of Revival Steam. We will see you next time.